Hello everyone, this is English Literature Optional Previous Year Question Analysis. This is Tess of the D'Urberville, Thomas Hardy, Part 1. So today we'll be discussing the questions which have been asked in 2019, 2017 and 2018. And also there have been some phrases and some sentences which I found was necessary and I could use them as to substantiate my answer. So I had just written all those sentences and phrases in a piece of paper, and this the phrases I'll upload in my Telegram channel, so you can get the PDF of all the phrases and all these examples which I would use to substantiate my answer in my Telegram channel. The link is given in the comment section. Also, these sentences or the phrases which I had written helped me to get the essence of the work when I was preparing for mains, because you cannot remember everything from the work, but you need to get into the essence of the work while revising the last time, or well, yeah, while you'll be preparing for mains. So all these paragraphs and the phrases and the quotations were very helpful for me to revise everything and to get into the mode uh, of the work and get into the deeper understanding of the works which was necessary for me to answer the questions. So today we'll be discussing some of the previous year questions, and you can also substantiate your answer while you be writing the answer. When you can substantiate them with the quotations or with the phrases which I have written. I have underlined the important ones which I was using them in the answers itself. So you can memorize them. I had memorized them so that I could use them, and it gives us more substantive point to your answers. And it was like evidence from the text is valued, because you cannot just give generalist answers, and you have to bring the essence of the work and some of the concrete evidences from the work, from the text itself, so that you can say whatever you are wanting to say in a very technical manner, not in a generalist form, because this is the optional paper and you get marks for this. The deeper understanding of the work is marked with a higher amount of marks. So today we'll be discussing the 2019 question first. This is the first question. Do you found any similarity between Tess of the D'Urberville and a Greek tragedy? So you have to read about Greek tragedies also. So all those who have read Greek tragedy, little bit of revision is required, because sometimes they're asked similarities between these things, because Greek tragedy is a classic work, we can consider it classics. So some of the things we need to know about Greek tragedies. So there is the question has asked the similarity between Tess of the D'Urberville and a Greek tragedy. So some of the major I would say points of Greek tragedy are the tragic hero. First of all, it was both of them are a tragedy. Tess of the D'Urberville is also a tragedy because Tess dies at the end, and in Greek tragedies also there's a lot of bloodshed and murder. Next is the tragic hero. The tragic hero is the center of tragedy, and he or she is the main story, main character of the story and the protagonist. But also sometimes there is a difference. The difference is not us, but the difference is of the rank. In the Greek tragedy, the characters are of very high rank, but here the Tess is found to be of a very high rank, but actually she was not. So this is a dissimilarity. So it is just to get you aware of this. Dissimilarities can also be asked, so you better be prepared. Next is the tragic flaw. So tragic flaw is the error of judgment, if you have read about it, and the weakness of the character, because of which the character suffers basically. So the tragic flaw is also there in Tess also. She makes an error of judgment, and she cannot believe in her own um, judgments, and she was pressurized to follow the judgments of the society and the world, and this makes her suffer for not taking her own stand. Next is the catastrophe. The catastrophe, because the tragedy ends with a catastrophe, and also there are multiple deaths and bloodshed. So this is both similar in Greek tragedies and Tess of the D'Urberville. The next is chorus is also there, because there was the dance where first time Angel and Tess met. There is also chorus. It was not a typical chorus, but it was some similarities can be drawn from both the things. The festival of series were there actually, where it can be symbolized, like the melodies and all those things which were used in Greek tragedies. Here also in Tess it can be used along with it. Next is fate, very important. Fate, the Greek tragedies believe in the idea of fate, and the destiny, and something which is preordained by the gods, which is determinism actually. So fate and determinism had a very important role in Tess of the D'Urberville, because no matter what the action Tess ever did, she was always at the hands of fate. And finally, how she was like made the culprit of the society. She was actually the victim, and no matter whatever she tried to do to make things better, everything got worse because everything was in the hand of fate. Next is the plot. The plot should have a clear beginning, the middle, and the end in the Greek tragedies, and a complex and unified structure within it, with significant actions. Also in Tess also you can find there is a clear beginning and the middle and the end, and a very complex, basically from the birth till the death of Tess, all the complex things happen in there, and everything is unified within a structure. All the symbols and all the foreshadowing is done. So this is the tight plot. This much is fine. You can, for 10 marker or 15 or 20 marker, it is fine to answer this much. And we'll move to next question. Examine the role of determinism in tests. So this also comes with this Greek tragedy thing, because here also determinism is very important, and we have to examine the role of determinism in tests. So the determinism basically is a theory that all the events, including the moral choices, are completely predetermined or is at the hands of fate. So determinism in tests, it is a psychological or a philosophical view, basically, that events in the universe, no matter what Tess does or what actions she does or what decisions she takes, she finally ends up being at the hands of fate. So this was also discussed in first question. So there are many examples of determinism. How she has met the mail cart, was the mail cart, the dash into prince, and how it died. And the next is how she had to leave the home, and then she also met Elec, and how she was raped. This is all determinism. She was played with the hands of fate. Then finally she goes and meets Angel was there is also determinism working over there. And then again she meets Elec. So this was a broad understanding of how determinism was playing a role in Tess's life. And also finally when she murdered Elec, it was the circumstances and the inescapability of the circumstances where she had to make a choice, and no matter whatever choices she made, she had to pay for it. And finally when she died, it was portrayed as if she was the culprit of the society, and she made all the decisions, and but actually she was the victim, and she did not get any justice. And even the last time when she stood for herself, she had to pay for it, and she ultimately died. So this was how determinism was playing a very important role in Tess's life. So next question, if we deal, is 2018 question. Would you agree that Tess of the Devil portrays a decadence of late Victorian England? So the decadence, basically you can portray there, because Tess of the Devil was written by Thomas Hardy in 1891. So this was a time of Victorian decadence, you can say. It was exploring the relationship between the struggles of Tess and the society, and the social, and how she was struggling against the social moves of the Victorian world, which she was inhibiting it, and also the hypocrisy of the society was exposed. So the decadence of values and morals can be there, and the decadence of character was there, of Alex's character had significant decadence. Also the decadence of love, how love, even though Angel claimed that he loved Tess, but even then he wanted a pure woman. And the values of a married life was on a very thin threads, because actually Angel wanted a pure woman, but actually he was not the one who would come up to his own terms, and he was not pure at that time. So this was the expectation of a for a woman, and how the woman was burdened with some expectations, and how it was decaying. Also, the society was also decadent. The decadent society was also witnessed, because ultimately it does not find any justice, and decadence of justice also, we can say that at the end, the for everything, Tess was considered to be the culprit. Next is of the decadence of religion, you can say, because Elec became a preacher, and the greater the sinner, the greater the saint. It was mentioned in the line on the text. And then the decadence of living, or you can say livelihood, was seen, because Angel goes to Brazil, and how his situation gets worsened. So this was the decadence. Some of the phrases, or some of the instances from the text, you can bring out, and you can just relate to the work. So it gives a clearer understanding, that you have understand the work in depth. Also, the decadence of role of family was there, because I feel that in Tess of the Double, Tess did not have any support of her family, and so the decadence of family was there. There was no stronger role of a family. Also, Alec was raised in a way, as if as that he could not respect women, and so the moral values from from the family was decaying. And also, pride and fame was something of superficial level. So all these things, you can give examples of decadence of the late Victorian England. Next question, if we deal, is Hardy uses several symbols skillfully in Tess of the Double, and they are too deep to be missed at the first reading. So what does this mean is, some of the symbols are very evident in the first reading. You have to go for the deeper meaning symbols. So some of the symbols which are very intricate and very rich, so you have to pick out those symbols, and you have to give examples of that. Some of the symbols which I feel were there. Strawberries were a symbol, because Alec has forcefully thrust the strawberries on Tess's mouth, and this was a foreshadowing of the rape which he was to do. Then finches, the whistling of the finches was also an important symbol, which one would just miss if the first reading was there, because the finches express that how the independence of one creature was an attainment for the other, and the freedom was so much superficial, that it like symbolized the freedom and individuality of Tess herself. She was not free actually ever, because she was always she always had to carry the the mishappenings of her past. And also, the other symbol is the death of Prince, because the death of Prince had foreshadowed the the death of Elec from Tess's hand, and how Tess would finally murder Elec, and the blood stains of when Prince died. Prince was a horse, so when Prince died, the stains of blood had stained her skirt, and this was foreshadowing the further instances of the work. The next is killing of the birds, the peasants she was killing, I suppose. So the peasants were she was breaking the neck of the peasants, so that they could die, and they could relieve themselves from the pain. So this was symbolizing how much pain Tess actually she was in, and if she found a way to release the pain of other creatures, she did. Next is the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge, she willfully lies on the rock on the Stonehenge, where human sacrifices were done. So this was also the symbols of how she will finally sacrifice herself, because the society does not accept the a pure woman, or the society's decadence have been so much that a woman's victimization is just cannot be proved, and ultimately she is to be blamed for everything. And next, other symbols you can give of the modern mail cart. Like, the modern mail cart had an accident with Prince, so it was modernism versus a natural life. So these were some of the symbols which you could use. We'll move on to next question. It says of 2017, it says comment on the theme of the old social order versus the new in Thomas Hardy's test. So the old social order and the new. So this is also in relation to the symbolism part only. That is what I'm saying. The themes are getting repeated. There is no different, very different question which is being asked. Some of the upper areas, if we talk about the surface things, are changed, and the core of the answers has to be like you have to just edit and just modify and present it. So the theme of old social order and the new. So basically here we have to go to understand how the old social orders or the old way of living was in contrast to the new social order and how it was presented in Thomas Hardy's test. So there was agricultural society. The agrarian society was is dehumanized, and mechanical agriculture took place, like in Talbot's dairy. And so the mechanized agriculture was distorting human relationships. The society was patriarchal with male dominance and the social prejudice. The social law victimizes Tess, and women were valued by the double standard of sexual morality. Also industrial society, the novel of the industrial society, if we talk about, so novels rural towns and farms represent ideas of Hardy of nature, how he was presenting nature, while the mechanized and upper class men symbolized the modernizing forces of industrialization. Also again the example of Prince, he met with an accident with with a motor vehicle, and how all these examples can be used, how the old social order versus the new. The name change of the D'Urberville family was, or the old name was had a new significance, and the new world order, how the new world uh, dealt with the new name of the test of the D'Urbervilles. So all these things are there in the text, and you can find the phrases how it has to be used. Also there is a contrasting theme of old versus the new, for purity and impurity, how the earlier context of purity has been defined, and how impure test was to be made um with the social orders which were made in the new world. Also a woman's independence versus victimization is also there. These are the conflicting moral values of the old and new social order. So these were some of the things which you can substantiate, and you can find your own answers. This was some of the way which I would have answered. And also you can those phrases and lines which I had given in the PDF. So try to answer these questions. We'll be discussing more of the questions in the further videos. Till then, thank you.